finding the right employees, investors who believed in me was tough, But I think it was that belief in myself that I can do it and not accepting any setbacks or any negative, carries is what I think saw me through, is what I can say.
I think your words must be so much encouragement to women who want to enter this area as entrepreneurs. And I think the encouragement for older women to look at not just a mid-career, but an end-career jump into entrepreneurship is a whole new example that you set out. Do you think it was easier for you just having had the experience, developed the connections, the contacts, and the credibility that you had established by going into being an entrepreneur later in your career?
Yes, of course. A lot of people, when I started the business, it was like my mindset was that before I turn 50, I need to start something. Otherwise, I will never do it. So I think, yes, I was definitely 48 at that time. And instead of seeing age as again, a handicap, I saw it as obviously all the experience that came with being an experienced business person. I mean, at least an experienced professional came in very handy. But, I think one has to also learn a lot. Entrepreneurship is all about also learning new things. So, for example, I had to educate, I would tell women that please educate yourself and be very open-minded. The business landscape is constantly evolving and one must be ready to learn and unlearn and relearn. And I think this is what sometimes people with experience are not ready to do it because they've done it certain way. And they are not open to looking at the new landscape and trying to see what it entails, Like sometimes, like, for example, I built a company that appeals to the millennials and a lot of my workforce was millennial. And I really had to sometimes think of, things very differently to appeal to my customers as well as my employees. And I had to be totally open to a new way of working compared to what I was used to. So I think these are some of the important things that, and also not feel that, I can't do it. Like I was not an engineer. I'm not from IIT. Most of the entrepreneurs were like IIT, smart, young, intelligent. Like maybe things came to them even while they were in college. They didn't seem to need education or training. But, I just felt that I was ready to, obviously on finance, I was strong, but I was ready to learn about technology. I was ready to ask stupid questions. I was ready to admit in an interview that, look, guys, I may not talk your language, but, I know that I have this vision and I want to build a company like this. So I think just that confidence that you carry with yourself, that you want to pursue your dream and you want to see it to the finishing line, was very important. And I think my suggestion to women would be to pursue very wide education. And I don't mean formally in colleges, but, on the job. Like they should be open to learning not just their strength, but if they're strong in finance, they should be open to learning marketing, technology, operations, supply chain, because today's successful businesses need all of that and more. And the other thing is you have to stay committed to yourself and also believe in yourself. And entrepreneurship is a big roller coaster journey, and there are good days and bad days. And one must not lose heart and when you face failures, as well as you have to treat them as learning experiences. And at the same time, if you let the highs get to your head, that also is a problem. So you have to stay grounded and focus on the job that you need to do. So I think these are some very important lessons that I learned while I was on this journey.
Falguni, you're a great example of someone who believes in perennial learning, and the humility with which you have tackled it, I'm sure, are great traits that everyone should follow. One of my favorite Sanskrit sayings is Mahastavira Sangha Rakshita. To know what we do not know is the beginning of wisdom. And clearly it is your wisdom that has brought Nykaa to the level it has. So well done on that. And the fact that you talk of belief in yourself. So for a younger woman who's starting off a next generation of women, let's say, who wants to enter the startup, would there be any different or additional advice you might offer?
Yeah, for sure. So, I also went through my mid-career, and during mid-career, as I listen into other experts like I was in a McKinsey session about what women need to do, and I really realized that I was not doing some things well, and I self-learned from those sessions, and that's the lesson I want to share with younger women. So I think many women do not build networks, and they also in terms of their soft skills, women must build the right networks and relationships that are required to succeed, and get the information that they need to make their business succeed. So I think no one can be a one-woman army, and at the same time, an entrepreneur must understand how to negotiate deals, how to brand their businesses and themselves, and how to pitch to investors, and their ability to take the right risks. And all of these soft skills are necessary, as much necessary as technical skills that a woman may have, whether be it, engineering, or be it even some creative skill that they have in building a brand. So I think a lot of women try to accentuate their strong skills, but they don't try to embrace some of these other skills, which are very much needed to be an entrepreneur who needs to see their business reach a finishing line. And the other thing is about the balance between a personal life and work. And a lot of young women have a very hard time trying to balance between, work and personal life. And you've done this so beautifully, Naina. And of course, people like me have also learned from you. But, sometimes you have to compromise the personal life and prioritize work. And then that's okay. And then sometimes you may compromise on work for a little bit to give attention to that personal problem that needs attention. So I have a very interesting word for it, which I call juggle. And I think juggle is a better thing than trying to have a balanced life all the time. All the time to achieve a balanced life is nirvana, which I think probably doesn't come easily.
I love the fact that you use juggle, because one of the examples I've always used is that it's like the three crystal balls that one has, one which is the work ball and the other which is the personal ball, and they're crystal. So you don't want either to drop to the ground and shatter. So you do spend all your time juggling those two balls. And the third ball is the me ball, the one that, loves wildlife or sports or yoga or whatever. And that's the ball that I always look at as a rubber ball, the one that you allow to drop to the ground. It's not going to break, and you pick it up when you have time again. So yes, those are the sacrifices. And Falguni, you've done amazingly, and you are the envy, I'm sure, of many family-owned businesses, because you've managed to get two brilliant kids back from working in the global stage where they were, and so smart and well-educated, to actually come back and join you. Tell us about how you embrace them and ensure that they stay with you in the business. I guess you are lucky that you're in a business that attracted them. But for all those family-owned businesses out there that are losing their children out of the business because they don't want to work there, what advice do you have to give?
I think, I have to say that, I'm really lucky that both of them have chosen to work with me. And so, kind of in certain way, allow me to be their boss, right? So I think it's a difficult thing. But I think in many ways, what happens is that, my kids are as much of a millennial as any other millennials, right? So I had to understand the millennials and what it means to have millennials, accept you. I think that is the main thing. And a lot of my employees, and like I said, all our customers are millennials and our employees are millennials. And I think once I started understanding millennials and Gen Z and what kind of life they want is when I decide, I became a better boss with acceptance from a lot of millennials. So I think the main thing is about, they're very transparent, they're very honest, they're very authentic. Authenticity is very big to them. You cannot be as a company doing one thing and saying one thing and doing another. So I think overall, we as a company are very millennial accepted company, in the sense that our value systems as a company and all reflect very positively with them. And I think because it's not a tale of two worlds, that's why they are happy working here. And of course, I'm really happy to have both Anchit and Advaita, and both do fantastic job with beauty and fashion business. Advaita's building fashion and Anchit's running the beauty business. But I'm equally proud of a lot of my, my college friends, my best friends. Many of their children also work in Nykaa, and each one is excelling in their field, and each one is really proud and happy to work here. So I think there is enough testimony to the fact that we as a company are doing many things right to have this young millennial workforce enjoy their work with us.
And, to know that both Anchit and Advaita, with their degrees from Yale, Harvard, Columbia, are back with you, it sort of fulfills your own explanation of how important the degree was, even in your own career. And here you've got these kids so well armed, and how wonderful that they will be with you on this journey and take forward Nykaa's vision. In the post-COVID scenario, Falguni, online retail or e-commerce sales have clearly increased significantly. India has amongst the world's highest gender gaps in access to internet and technology. How can we ensure that women and girls are empowered enough to thrive in this technology-oriented and digital world? What is your view on this?
So, I think, Naina, this is a very important area. And as routine jobs become automated and pressure on women will intensify, that they will experience higher unemployment rates. And I think women typically hold most of the administrative and data processing roles currently in our industries. And as artificial intelligence and other technologies threaten to replace, according to 2019 study by Institute of Women's Policy Research, So I do believe that technology has now become critical to businesses everywhere. And with not just many digital first businesses as Nykaa, but also internet companies becoming major employment creators. And also the traditional businesses are implementing digitized ways of working, especially post-pandemic. With all this, access to an understanding of internet and technology is a function of education at all levels. I believe at primary, secondary, and tertiary. So to me, first and foremost, I'd like to see the gender disparity in education, especially at higher level, which leads to, certain pattern of differences in technology pattern differences where there are not adequate women going into STEM education. So the quality of education itself across all levels needs to be improved and inculcate a critical thinking as well as an analytical bent of mind and fluency in critical language like English. So I think all these are very important. And I think we have to emphasize this for all students, not just male students. And that empowerment that this needs to be for everyone and not for women needs to come from the family. Because at younger ages, families they have to make sure that they focus on the funnel and they don't allow their girls to drop out of education at any level, whether primary, whether secondary, whether tertiary. They have to be supportive of their girls and say that, no, this is important. This will change your life if you reach the finishing line. Education is very, very important. And it cannot be compromised because you need to get married or because you need to help at home or anything, any reason, and, share the load, as they call it. I really love some of these advertisements which have come out because they're really talking about how, there has to be sharing of load so that women can pursue their dream and their ambition. It can't be that, you have to do everything, after which, if you have time, you can pursue your dream. That it's not conditional on them having time. Pursuing their dream is a priority, and it's their right. It's their right to. Is their right that should be allowed to them rather than get them bogged down by a lot of familial tasks, is what I feel. So this becomes a joint effort, both from social and personal perspective, with family support, as well as an institutional effort that government can help drive. And see, our recent census is suggesting that the women population now is at equal level as men, just slightly higher, which means that the mindset of Indians have become positive towards women. I remember when I was young, it used to be 880 amongst 1,000 men and all. From there, India has made a lot of progress to allow them a right to be born. Now I'm saying give them a right to dream. That is very important. And give them the freedom and sharing of work so that they feel empowered that they can use the family money. They don't have money in their name. They must have money in their name. They must be able to bet on bet on their business with the help of family resources Of course, institutional resources are necessary, but I feel it's a joint responsibility of the family also to make sure that their women feel empowered to take, like, if men can bet the whole house on their business, why not women? I think women should be equally allowed to invest, in the businesses that they want to, and family should be equally supportive. It's seen as women are afraid to ask for that. They feel that they will disrupt the family dynamics by asking to be equal in all senses. And I think that needs to be evaluated and reevaluated. And the most important is the STEM education. I am a big believer that more and more women need to embrace STEM education. And that's very important. I mean, for very silly reasons, I did not pursue STEM education myself and I chose commerce. I mean, these are just mindsets which are so long ingrained. And it's changing. Of course, there's so many women now in engineering and I'm really proud of them. But the ratios need to change completely. It needs to be equal in every sense, So I think increasing access to computers, smartphones, like if there is one smartphone, it's given to the son, not to the daughter. I think equal access at all levels and easier access to internet and technology, especially at the grassroots level. And, and also adult digital literacy so that they can guide their children also. So I think there's a lot of work to be done both by government and the institution, but I think family is important too, very, very.
You've raised some great examples of the role of society, of family, and indeed self-belief for the women. You've touched on some of the things that the government could do. What are the three things India is doing right? And what are the three things you recommend the country needs to improve to enhance women entrepreneurship?
Well, I think I personally am very proud of the amount of emphasis on technology education and higher education that we see in the country, because of which, if you today look at it, global CEOs, global, senior management all over the world is all filled with Indians. So I think there are enough examples of successful Indians at the top of political, management in every country, or even big businesses in every country, big governments in every country. You name it, and Indians are showing up there. All I'm saying is that let there be equal opportunity for women also. That's all. I think Indians have done very well. I think we as a country have emphasized on education, STEM education, higher education, and I think that is showing up. It is showing up in the global numbers on management everywhere. But I would like equal opportunity for women and acceptance of the fact that for them, their dreams are important, their career is important, and what they want to pursue and seek, family must enable. That's all.
Yeah, so you've covered access to technology and education. How about finance? Do you see this as a continuing challenge? I highlighted some of the figures to start with, where access to finance still seems to be a challenge for women, particularly women who are entering a startup arena.
Yeah. So, I think there are getting into business. It is around the same time then at a time when their familiar needs are also very high in terms of they're planning to get married. One doesn't know where they'll go and live post-marriage. They may have children. They may not be able to cope with continuing their business post that. So there are all these questions being asked. And once you're on that other side of that entire commitment period, if I may call it, which runs for about 8 to 10, most society, that is kind of quite common, I think, and especially more in India. I think once you're on the other side, I think people would be happy to provide funding. So I'm not saying they should not provide earlier. I think women have to find the unique solution. If they see that, because they are alone and that is leading to them not being able to raise money, I think you can also have co-founders. So yes, equal opportunity is true, but also there are certain risks that investors see, especially equity investors see. So I think one can also find solutions. How they say that, you become a team that, like, it's the same. Like, if I'm not technology, if I don't have good technology experience, I must take a CTO, as an equal partner or an important partner in my business. So I think complementing the team in a way that you can raise resources is important. I think I don't want to make anything about. I think institutions, financial institutions, must make their own decisions on backing the right businesses. I don't want to create any quotas. I've never been very keen to create quotas for women, but I feel that if the women have the right plan, then the investors should be able to see that. If they have the right management team, they have the right plan, then in my mind, if the society has changed from their mindsets and they're treating women as equal, then I don't see why they won't get the funding.
Yeah.
I don't think there are rules written that don't give it to women. Let's be clear about that.
Yeah. So unfortunately, there are obviously unconscious biases, maybe even conscious biases, which, lenders, banks have to recognize are getting in the way of actually assessing the business and assessing the entrepreneur for what he or she is. And as you highlighted in the beginning, all entrepreneurs face issues. You yourself found those challenges far greater than the fact that you're a woman. So women also have to remind themselves that sometimes the issues are not about being women, but just about the fact that they're trying to be an entrepreneur. We are coming to the end of the time together. There's one point which you didn't mention, which I'd like to mention, and that is the visibility of successful role models such as yourself in the public domain, which help combat the stereotypes and trigger change. And it is important that we document your story, we showcase successful business ventures of women such as yourself, and in particular, when female entrepreneurs like yourself are able to inspire other women to embark on the entrepreneurial or career journey, this is when we should say, yes, we've got it right. So for India, for FICCI, for all of us here, you are an inspiration, Falguni, and I'm sure that thousands, millions others will follow in your footsteps. So kudos to you for what you have built, for the amazing market cap you have achieved, your successful IPO, and indeed the growth that you see before you. So thank you. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Naina. I've enjoyed our conversation. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms Naina Lal Kidwai and Ms Falguni Nayar, for joining us virtually and for that lovely conversation. Thank you once again.